speakers to provide uh, the talk and present. Mostly that was still the thing that we are missing of digital cooperation. That's what we need to hear from the four speakers. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please we start with Miss Daniel Weir, German research officer from Artificial Intelligence and Policy Study and its Center for International Relations and Strategic Studies, and also represent the NACT Philippines. So, ma'am, stage please.
There you go. It's working. First of all, good afternoon to everyone, to the esteemed scholars, experts all over ASEAN and China, and of course to the organizers of this technical working group meeting. Good afternoon, and thank you for the extension of invitation. So once again, I'm Nia Damian from the Foreign Service Institute of the Philippines, and I'll be sharing about Digital Economy Pillar, the Philippines Data Governance and Cross-Border Data Cooperation. This presentation aims to discuss how data governance and its dimensions enable the digital economy, while providing a short introduction of the status of the current global and regional digital economy and the role that data plays. It will also draw on the experiences of the Philippines on the matter of governing data and cooperating on cross-border data flows. Recognizing the significance of cross-border data transfer to facilitate the digital economy can lead to greater benefits through stronger connections with regional digital trading partners. So definitions of the digital economy vary, but a publication discussing the critical issues in the Philippine digital economy published in 2023 adopted the definition referring to the digital economy as that part of economic output derived solely or primarily from digital technologies with a business model based on digital goods or services. That same definition is adopted in the biennial report of the United Nations on the subject. It is inclusive of industries such as telecommunications and information services at the core, the BN1, which then expands to digital services and platforms that create new markets by leveraging the internet. The broader digital economy, the bigger blue circle there, also covers various industries as they undergo digital transformation, as I said, to show you the data. The World Bank's Digital Progress and Trends Report in 2023 accords the digital sector as a driver of innovation, growth, and job creation because of the following. The value-added growth of information technology services averaged 8% annually between 2000 to 2022, which growing nearly twice as fast as the global economy. Employment in IT services grew by 7% annually during the same period, far outstripping the meager 1% growth in total employment. IT services are also being used as intermediate inputs in other sectors, and globally IT services exports grew at 12% annually during 2010 to 2022, eclipsing all other types of services exports. APEC's Digital Economy Steering Group approximates that the digital economy can range from 4.5% to 15.5% of global GDP, depending on the definition of digital economy being outfit. So, data is important for the digital economy in many ways. It is no longer used solely for intelligence and decision making. In today's data economy, a key part of the broader digital economy, data itself holds intrinsic value and can be bought, sold, and traded. Much like oil, which powers industries as a key energy resource, Data now fuels innovation, drives operational efficiency, enables new products and services, and holds economic value on its own. As an essential production factor and a fundamental strategic resource in the digital economy era, data is transforming production, lifestyles, and governance, thereby affecting the global competitive landscape. It has given rise to studies, academic pursuits, and economic ventures on data storage and use, among others. The indispensability of data to global economic activities with the digitization of assets and integration into a digital ecosystem calls for its governance. It means that the current landscape of data rules must be understood to navigate rulemaking in digital trade governance and, of course, influence its course. The usual emerging themes when discussing data governance are data protection policies and procedures to facilitate cross-border data flow. Rules on cross-border use, transfer, and protection of data are central not only to digital trade, but also to trade in goods and other services. Furthermore, global data flows, and not only data, are estimated to contribute to up to 11 trillion US dollars to global GDP this year. The prioritization of data protection alongside the free movement or transfer of data is reflective of the balancing act that countries need to achieve between securing and enabling seamless flow of cross-border data flows. The performance and projected growth rates in the digital economy in ASEAN are nearly twice as high for the general economy in the coming years. However, the potential growth will still be shaped by the region's digital economy policy, including and especially data policy arrangements. Thus, the time is right for evaluating current ASEAN efforts, aiming for the region's digital economy growth and connectivity, as well as the implications of the different countries' data regulations to businesses in the sector. As of now, suffice it to say that divergence in terms of regulation and cross-border data transfers are apparent despite multiple regional initiatives for digital integration. With respect to the Philippines, it has been hailed as the fastest growing internet economy in the region after double-digit growth across core sectors of e-commerce, transport and food, online travel, and online media. The gross merchandise value of the overall digital economy in 2024 alone was 31 billion US dollars. Wow, and then substantiated by reports from the Philippines statistics economy, the digital economy of the Philippines reached about or maybe contributed 8.5% of the country's GDP in 2024. The increase from the gross value added from 2023 to 2024 was about 7.6%. Moreover, the number of workers employed in the digital economy in 2024 was at 11.3 million workers, with most hired in the areas of e-commerce and in digital enabling infrastructure industries. Now, proceeding to what the Philippines is doing in terms of data governance, the country's noteworthy initiatives include the Data Privacy Act of 2012, which is considered a 21st century law addressing crimes and concerns related to data handling and processing. It established protection of data privacy by laying down the rights of data subjects, such as the right to be informed, right to access, right to object, right to erasure of blocking, right to damages, right to file a complaint, right to rectify, and right to data portability. The law protects the privacy of individuals while ensuring free flow of information to promote innovation and growth. And it also ensures, or at least try to ensure, that the Philippines complies with international standards set for data protection through the National Privacy Commission.
Also, the Cyber Crime Prevention Act was legislated in the same year, 2012, and contained penal provisions for any unauthorized use and access of data of Filipinos. Unauthorized use and access of data include illegal interception and data interference, as well as other and content-related offenses. In the government sector, the Department of Information and Communications Technology's Cloud First policy prescribed the use of cloud computing solutions as a primary part of the government's infrastructure planning and procurement. It also established data classification schemes that consider the different levels of data sensitivity and the impact of unauthorized disclosure, use, alteration, and destruction of data for purposes of ensuring that the security controls and protection chosen by government agencies in their cloud deployment models are commensurate to the associated data risks and vulnerabilities, with the end goal of maintaining secure data management systems that address relevant national security, confidentiality, and data privacy concerns. It provided definitions of data sovereignty and clauses for data residency. The circular also stipulates that no residency restrictions shall be placed on government data stored or processed in the cloud, provided that appropriate controls and security measures are present, with exemptions on the storage and processing of sensitive, and highly sensitive government data. The mood of Philippines data governance include the dimension of bilateral and multilateral cooperation. Rightly so, because national data regulations are only the first step, with policies facilitating cross-border data flows both within Southeast Asia and between Southeast Asia and external countries being equally vital for reaping the full benefits of digital technologies. For instance, the Philippines National Privacy Commission has an existing Memorandum of Agreement on Personal Data Protection with Singapore's Personal Data Protection Commission, where they share best practices in personal data protection with an end view of developing compatible mechanisms to facilitate trusted cross-border data flows. The Philippines also subscribes to the agreements forged within ASEAN, such as the ASEAN Model Contractual Clauses for Cross-Border Data Flows. It endorsed the use of the ASEAN Model Contractual Clauses and ASEAN Data Management Framework for voluntary adoption. More reflective now of the economic value of data. Provisions on cross-border data flow have seeped into trade agreements, including, of course, the mega trade deal RCEP, prohibiting cross-border data flow restrictions, but with broad exceptions, and the ASEAN Agreement on e-commerce, aiming to minimize cross-border data flow restrictions. However, even with the data frameworks now present within ASEAN, the member states' varied national data regulatory mechanisms and requirements limit progress on the harmonization of cross-border data flow in the region. The inconsistency in the data regulatory frameworks in the region, which reflects diverging preferences for data regulation, possibly increases the vulnerability of the region to potential fragmentary pressures in global data governance. It, of course, affects its attractiveness as a regional market in the digital economy. What then is needed? The Southeast Asian states need to pursue a more developed data protection framework amidst increasing interest of major powers in working with this region to facilitate data flows. This is also a proactive stance in line with the aim of cooperating on artificial intelligence, which is powered by quality data. And then, in this landscape, what can be done to give an answer as ASEAN seeks to deepen regional connectivity and harness the potential of the growing digital economy? it must recognize the need to further develop its own data governance frameworks. While platforms like the Digital Economy Framework offer opportunities to advance such efforts, action is needed to urgently prevent further policy fragmentation. DEFA provides a chance to address inconsistencies in a global data governance and to discuss emerging issues such as AI governance. However, before moving forward, member states should also revisit existing frameworks such as the ASEAN Model Contractual Clauses for cross-border data flows to strengthen cooperation and build on established foundations. And as the digital economy evolves, cybersecurity cooperation must also advance to keep pace with increasingly lucrative and sophisticated cybercrimes, especially as AI is used to enable more complex fraud and scams. This is a critical cross-border challenge. Rapid digital growth in the region has contributed to an alarming 82% increase in cybercrime between 2021 and 2022 alone, resulting in losses worth billions of dollars. Finally, China's growing technical expertise and digital infrastructure can support member states in their digital transformation and integration efforts. For instance, China's cloud computing services and investments could help implement ASEAN member states' cloud-first policies, contributing to a more digitally connected ASEAN. By tapping into China's cloud computing platforms or cooperating with the businesses involved in that sector, member states can access scalable, cost-effective solutions that reduce reliance on expensive physical infrastructure and enhance interoperability across borders. In addition, governance and regulatory frameworks, transparency, and mutual accountability will be critical to ensuring that such partnerships contribute to ASEAN's long-term goal of a resilient, inclusive, and secure digital ecosystem. So here ends my presentation, and I look forward to your comments and questions. I also welcome sharing comments from each respective country's experience when it comes to data governance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. This very interesting topic. When this morning we talk about the trade and investment, but we come to the critical point of the presentation in particular about the digital economy, the successful of Philippines economy has shown the potential of the GDP and the employment of the population is proved physically. But something that we have to concern about is the data protection and data sharing. There's a critical point like the speaker from the previous session mentioning about how can the regional cooperations can have the very engaging into the implementation, because the more activity we expect to see from the good side, but the bad side like scams and crimes also increasing respectively as well. That's what the thing that we can work out and get the response from the floor. And keep that in mind that we have to come back and discuss about this point. Thank you. And let's move on to the second speaker. Very interesting topic from Professor Dr. Liao from Singapore. NACT Singapore will present China International Justicials Corporations in Cross-Border Finance with ASEAN members. Professor Liao, the stage is yours.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to the host and the advisor for this very good opportunity to come to this very interesting place and talking about these interesting topics. So basically, I'm a trade economist, first of all. So actually, I'm not specialized in the judicial topics. But I really appreciate this opportunity because I got a task at the beginning of this year from our institute to learn about the impact of China's expansion impact in the judicial area, cross-border judicial area. So the reason I'm involved because when we discuss about investment treaties, this is a very important part, right? How to solve the dispute And after our early discussion, I feel that if like the it's okay. Yeah, if like just like some of our colleagues said, the most important hinder to the integration of the regulatory or harmonizing of the regulations is the balance between international integration, regional integration, and the national interest, national benefits. That means that actually we are already paying attention to this. But for this topic, the judicial cooperation, I think we need more attention. More attention. So before I start, I want to show you my many takeaways in case you are too tired to listen to me. Okay. So the first one, the rapid expansion of ASEAN-China economic and financial integration, as we have discussed, shows stronger demand for legal cooperation. And the second one is, so here I just focus on the finance part, including the corporate finance and the financial sector. So there are three pillars of cooperation: capital flow regulation, which Singapore suffered a lot for this one, and then investment oversight and the dispute settlement. And then, so fast. So there are already new judicial mechanisms like the Chinese International Commercial Court and MOUs, bilateral, multilateral MOUs, and bilateral investment treaties, which underpin the smoother cross-border finance. However, there are challenges remain, like we have discussed the fragmented regulations, the lack of mutual recognition, and limited data sharing. And last one is the opportunities and RCEP and the financial action task. This is the short term, the task force, for deeper legal alignment and the institutional innovation. So, so I'll have this 6 parts. So first of all, I will show you some data. This is a cross-border RMB settlement divided by the trade volume. For the red curve is for ASEAN, the blue curve is for total. So we can see that actually the cross-border RMB settlement in ASEAN is growing especially faster than the overall level. And then the lower chart is about the cross-border RMB settlement, the red bar, and the trade with ASEAN. We can also see that both numbers are increasing since the 2019. Yeah, okay. And then here is the FDI between China and ASEAN. The blue one is ASEAN investment to China, and the red one is China's investment to ASEAN. We can see that also the bilateral FDI rapid growth. So this indicates that there are more and more economic activities between China and ASEAN economy, like we have discussed, that associated with this growth. We also see the legal risk management demands increased. Let's see. So another one is another data is about the growing ASEAN-China financial tie is the RMB swap amount. We can see that half of ASEAN members have the effective RMB swap arrangement with China, means more benefit related to China. And then for Singapore, the RMB swap value is more than 1/3 of its trade with China in 2024. So it's a very big involvement. So here the key financial focus area, like I have mentioned, is the first one is capital flow, including the managing the anti-money laundering and the counter the financing of terrorism. The second one, investment protection, through the bilateral investment treaty (MOU), and also the provision, the investor-state dispute provisions, the investor-state settlement provision, which is an important part for many of the FTAs. And the last one is the dispute resolution through arbitration, mediation, and CICC involvement, which is also Singapore has paid lots of emphasis on this. Then the institutional drivers, we have this CAFTA, the latest one, version 3, and then the RC and the ASEAN-China free trade area continue to boost economic interdependence. So the driver of this cooperation, we can see the regulatory divergence remain in key issue. For example, in these areas, the different licensing frameworks, capital controls, and the compliance standards. For example, between Singapore and Singapore's monetary authority has licensing MOU and actually many other MOUs with China's central bank PBOC. However, between Vietnam and China, so far, not many this kind of cooperation, which make it difficult for the business to solve the dispute. So here I have another data to show you. This is the so small. Okay, this is so this curve show you the China's involvement in Singapore International Arbitration Center cases, which I used a 5-year average because for each case there's the duration is different, and also be constrained by the capacity of SIAC. Some year it will be very high, some year may be lower. So I used a 5-year moving averages to smooth it. You can see the jump from 2022 to 2023. That's because China and Singapore signed the Supreme Court of Singapore and the Supreme People Court of China signed this MOU to mutually recognize each other's decision. So we see this jump. So we can see that the importance of this. And then also the next one. So this one is the first one is the Singapore International Arbitration Center. So this one is the #1 arbitration institute in the world, which located in Europe, is the International Chamber of Commerce. So basically, it handled the largest number of cases in the world every year. So we can see that the China involvement also increased since 2020 in this institute, in the ICC. So the rising, actually I have many other data which shows that the rising arbitration and mediation cases involve Chinese firms in ASEAN, especially in Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam. So Malaysia also has a very famous international arbitration center, and also Vietnam. And then the dispute often involve the infrastructure, PPP, joint venture defaults, and RMB-dominated financing disagreement. From 2020 to 2023, the ASEAN-based arbitration centers saw around 30% increase in China-related commercial filings. So this include the investor-state dispute settlement and the business-to-business dispute settlement. And then, wait. Okay, right? Wait. There should be it. Oops. Disappear. Okay. Because I lost one chart. Yeah. So basically, from our study, we find that since 2020, China has intensified or accelerated its efforts to promote the judicial cooperation with ASEAN economies. So basically, in 2018, China established this international commercial court. Sorry, and then start from 2020, almost every year, China has new MOUs or new institute to set up to improve the judicial cooperation. What happened? With ASEAN economies. So including the, for example, the China-Indonesia mediation under the Singapore Mediation Convention, and there are China-Singapore MOU on mutual court judgment recognition, and also the China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Center and the Singapore's International Arbitration Center. They have the panelist exchange. So all this happens after 2020. Yeah. Oh, it's here. Sorry, it's here. That's what I was looking for. So we can see that the events become more and more intensified since 2020. Yeah, and here are some some of the progress of the judicial cooperation between ASEAN and China. So first of all, the institutional convergence through MOUs, which is has no really the judicial binding. However, it's still a big progress compared to nothing, I guess. So over 20 MOUs. So there are actually many MOUs. I cannot count at all between China and the ASEAN economy. But in terms of these cross-border finance, there are already over 20 MOUs signed between China and Chinese authorities like Central Bank, China's Security Regulation Commission, and China's what's that? SPC. Supreme People's Court, and the ASEAN regulators and courts. And the platform used including ASEAN Law Association, ASEAN Legal Committees, and the APG-FATF, which is about money laundering and finance to terrorism for this anti-money laundering compliances. So the key MOUs between China and Singapore I listed here is the first one is the China's Security Regulation Committee has this MOU with Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is about its securities enforcement to oversight the IPOs, and then the MOU between the Supreme Court of the two countries for the judgment enforcement. And then this ASEAN +3 Macroeconomic Research Office has a legal monitoring and expansion. So here for the institutional milestones, by the end of January 2025, China has signed 148 bilateral investment treaties with 109 in force, including those with ASEAN countries. And there are also 30 investment-related instruments in force, including China-ASEAN China Framework, the Singapore FTA, China-Singapore FTA, and the ASEAN-China Investment Agreement at RC. And for ASEAN as a group, not individual members, as a group, there are 14 treaties with investment provision in force. All these has the part related to the dispute resolution. Okay, so here I want to share some of the case studies with you to show you the progress in the real world. Just now we said many of these are just paperwork. How to implement it? Actually, we have some implementation cases. The first one is the same-day remittance freeze, which was happened in 2023, but still going on. So as of 15th of December of 2023, Singapore Police Force has received more than 670 reports of remittance being frozen, with a total affected amount of around 13 million. And about 430 of the reports were against one money changer, the Semblink. So this one, for those people affected, actually they sent the remittance through overseas licensed agents, but not through a direct bank transfer from Singapore to China. So Chinese government, Chinese financial institute, freeze their money in China. So to mitigate the risk, the MAS and the Singapore Police Force have advised the public to use only official banking or card channels to remittance to China. But the Singapore government cannot do anything to help them to get the money back. This need, this shows that actually still lack of cooperation between Singapore and China in this area. And then, okay, this one, the second case actually shows the cooperation. Okay, this is the shows how complicated this cross-border judicial cases. So Indonesia, China power project disputes arbitrated by the China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission. There are two cases, one in 2020 and the one in 2025. So basically, these two cases, they get the arbitration award. Although it's not, only if the court recognize and use the award. Otherwise, the arbitration award actually not powerful. Only the award being utilized has the power. So the case one, we can see that it take 15 years to involve 353 gigabytes of documents and over 100,000 pages of evidence. And in this one case, there are 159 disputed issues, and the participation include 65 lawyers and 14 witnesses across 5 countries to solve this one. So the outcome is the arbitration tribunal issued a clear award to clear the whole story, to make it clear and largely uphold the claimant's position and clarify the construction timelines and stakeholder responsibility. So this is just for traditional construction business. So we can imagine if it's now the new economy, the digital economy and the green economy involved, can be even more complicated. And then this, the third one is, not one, but no changes. Okay, this one. This one is mutual recognition. Thanks God, we have some progress. So the first one is Singapore High Court recognized a money judgment issued by the Qingpu District People's Court in Shanghai. So it's not a Supreme Court. It's a very local, lower level local court. Judgment has been recognized by Singapore's High Court. High Court, yeah. And then the second one is the Nanjing Intermediate Court recognized and enforced a commercial judgment issued by a Singaporean court and in favor of a Swiss firm. Okay, so this the impact, the significance is that this represents milestone breakthroughs in international legal cooperation, especially under the Belt and Road Initiative framework. Okay, and help reduce the legal risk and the transnational trade and investment. So far, most of case I found between ASEAN and China has Singapore involved. So the last one I want to show you, I have more cases on here, and the last one I will show you is the Thai Arbitration Award. This is the one I found that no Singapore involved. So Thailand Arbitration Award enforced in Dongguan city in China. Okay, so this is a Thailand company and a Dongguan company. They had this dispute. So it's conducted in Thailand and the local arbitration rules. Of course, it's an international arbitration center. And then the outcome is that Dongguan court recognize and enforce the arbitration award under the New York Convention. So this reinforces credibility of ASEAN-based arbitral awards within Chinese jurisdiction. So this is a big progress. Show us that, for businessmen, if they invest in China or they invest in ASEAN, if unfortunately there are disputes, they have a way, and this have a way to solve the problem. Okay, and then, sorry, I didn't show this one. Yeah, it's basically it's a simple. So there are still challenges, of course. Just like other topic we discussed this morning. So there are still the data sharing still limited, like the money laundering issue I just showed you, and the digital asset tracking might help in this area since it's easier to share the data. And then the costly and complex dispute mechanism for SMEs, like our Malaysia colleague mentioned, and then the fragmented regulatory framework within ASEAN. Okay, and then judicial enforcement bottlenecks due to the reciprocity limit, so the mutual recognition still limited. So last one, my conclusion is that we need the institutionalized and multi-dimensional cooperation involving, and the legal mechanisms must keep pace with financial integration. So when we talk about the unified standards, unified policy or regulation, the legal mechanisms also need to follow. And then the ASEAN and the digital economy partnership can be a future platform for this, and the trust base. We have the trust deficit, also important for this financial stability regional. And I think that's. Thank you.
Are you sure you're not the judge?
I tried to get a mediation license from Singapore. It's too hard.
There's so much going on behind the trade investment cooperation. Even we talk about China and ASEAN, cooperation, but still behind the story, it just need things that Professor Liao pretty clear direction that it has the risk and also the solutions, and some of the, at least the decades has been also solved. Even some of the gigabyte you mentioned is more than 300 still remain. And for increasing and the rising of digital economy, that's one of the pros and the cons, and also still have changed to be resolved by having the layers and dimensions of economically and like laws and enforcement. And that's why this seminar and this talk about regulatory excellence need to fulfill every dimension. So thankful and still keep some of the comments and the feedback later on. So let's move on to the third presenter, the speaker from my correct? Lovely country, Thailand. So Dr. Sinirat Serchi will come and present, talk about toward a harmonized data governance framework for integrated digital trade between ASEAN and China. Dr. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So it's me again, come back. And for the presentation here, I'm going to talk about the three keywords actually. One is digital trade, another one is data governance, and the last one is harmonization between ASEAN and China. So this is the outline of my presentation. And we will start with digital trade. Why digital trade? Why it matters now? And second, what is the role of harmonized data governance in terms of enhancing the digital trade? Since we're talking about the region, 10 ASEAN countries and China, some comparison is needed in order to taking stock where we are and how different we are. And also, just for some information, the case of Thailand is also presented and also the way forward at the end. So let me start by setting the framework. Digital trade are everywhere. But actually, what is the digital trade? The definition is still, moving because of the digital technology is keep evolving. But we have the common agreement in the term of we can define digital trade by using three terms. The first one is about the international trade, so something cross the border. And what do we count as a digital trade? It has many names. Some say digital enabled trade. But right now, I think they're kind of like more crystallized about the definition. You can define it in two groups, actually. One is digitally ordered, something you can place the order online. And another group is digitally delivered. So we're talking about the services, we're talking about the cloud computing, those kind of things. So by that one, we just can just say two main groups. One is a cross-border e-commerce, when we place the order online, but we can get the new stuff, clothes, cosmetic, and so on. And the second group is digitally deliverable service. Just in short, we can just call DDS, something like that. And with the digital trade, it looks like the normal trade. It needs some kind of like fundamental. So by that one, when we talk about the trade policy relating to digital trade, these are the three keywords that are always there. Data flow should be there, because if the data cannot flow, we cannot trade digitally. The second one is the digital connectivity. Let me refer back to NACT 2025. In that one, we're talking about physical, institutional, and people to people. Digital also need connectivity as well. There are still many definitions, but I think for now it's very falling in terms of these three components. One is we need a digital infrastructure, those kind of like signal, pole, and device. Also, we need the people to know how to use it. And last but not least, the data governance. I think when I start looking at digital connectivity, people are always talking about infrastructure, the skill, but not to the data governance, yes, because it's about the law and regulation. Maybe it's still not to that point that people can think about. But actually, they are very important. And to really have a digital connectivity, we need all three. So I think, the excellent regulation is very important. And the third point is about interoperability. I interpret it as the ability to operate internationally. So how to connect, let's say for some firm, if they do the business in ASEAN, they have to, face like regulation from 10 countries. So it needs to be interoperability there. With this framework here, let's see some graph. So this is the index about the trade at the global level. You see the blue one, that one is the index of digitally deliverable service export. It's just by index, not by the value. But one thing we can see from this one is that the DDSE, let me put it that way, it kind of like have a high growth in terms of index comparing to the trading good and other kind of service. So what does it mean here? We think about moving forward into the future, into prosperity. Maybe like the trading good is not that fast growing like before. So this can be like the potential or the new or the future engine of growth. And I think for the digital deliverable service export here, it's not only answer the call for economic growth, also in terms of digital transformation and also the inclusive one. Because SME can also join the club and when they do about the service export here. From that one, let's come to see in case of ASEAN. ASEAN also aware about the importance of the digital trade, and that's why many development is happening Two examples is about the master plan on ASEAN Connectivity Map, also there, and also the ASEAN Digital Master Plan 2025. So by that one, ASEAN is projected to contribute to like 360 billion to global digital trade by 2025. And 5 years afterward, we expect to contribute up to like 10% of the global digital trade. So we can see the potential of the region. Let's take a quick look on Chinese side as well. I think for, as I mentioned at the beginning, two groups of the digital trade. One is cross-border e-commerce. China have already a success case for that one. But another one that also into the picture, and I think is also very important, is about the digitally deliverable trade. Because that one is getting closer and all together with the digital technology, value added and so on. So this is one thing that I think for case of China, they looking forward into, being the major player in that one as well by seeing the idea about the digital trade development framework that aim to have the ratio of that part by 45 of the country total service trade. By doing that, what is a thing that in terms of China government, foment area digital product in terms of game, movie and so on, digitally deliverable service, digital technology, and also the cross-border data flow. To have this kind of like digital trade, the data flow is the key. So that's why we come to the point that, how to have the data governance harmonized together. So by that one, the harmonized data governance, what does it help here? It enables the seamless digital trade by providing the trust cross-border data flow. I have heard trust in the morning session, so this is a key for the digital trade and so on. How to develop that? Data governance is one of the answers. Also, the regulatory alignment here will reduce the barrier. So can reduce the legal fragmentation, simplify the cross-border operation, and also encourage the SME, last but not least. Also, this kind of governance here can also strengthen the regional integration, boosting innovation and investment, and also finally, competitiveness. We want to be competitive in the global level. With that one, to compare between, like ASEAN country and China, I see it in this way though, by looking at current situation. Intra-ASEAN ourselves, we also have diverse data law. So this is one inside the group. This one can increase the compliance cost and hinder the business expansion. Also looking outside, we have something we call digital noodle bowl. You may recognize the noodle bowl that we talked about FTA before. And that picture is also here, but in terms of digital agreement and regulation. So you can see how things are connecting, overlapping, and so on. So the same picture come back in the new version digitally. But this one here, I would say for ASEAN and China to really have a harmonized data governance, we have to look both inside and also to think with the external partner. With that one, this slide just briefly mapping what ASEAN have on hand in terms of digital and data framework, what China have, a selected one, maybe not all, and also the cooperation in between. So I think for the idea is that digital is still, like very dynamic and fully integrated into the data issues. So it's not no clear cut, this is digital, this is data, but not the concrete good. So I think taking stock in the first step, what we have overall is also important. Beside that one, so some comparison, just briefly, between ASEAN country and China in terms of data governance. For the legal framework, for the ASEAN country, as I mentioned, vary by country. But the good thing is that we're moving toward the harmonization because of the DIFA that to be finalized and come out this year. And also with the ASEAN Digital Master Plan 2025. So we have, a good direction in front of us. For case of China, you define it by the cybersecurity law, data security law, and personal information protection law. I think one thing that we should look closer because you're talking about integrating is the cross-border data flow here. For ASEAN country, we promote data free flow with trust principle. For China is restrictive, requires security assessment and approval for transfer. So I think the same process here, taking stock, let's see where we can come, maybe like average or in the middle way between the two groups. For privacy protection, ASEAN we also, based on the GDPR, thinking about data governance, three groups. One is US, one is EU, the GDPR, and also the China model. So ASEAN, many of us go by the EU model here. For China, it's like strict control, personal data treated as a national security asset. How about the data localization? ASEAN pictures still have mixed approach. Some country required, but other maybe allow for flexibility. But in case of China, it's mandatory here. So those are some aspects that we better take a look and then compare. By institutional, ASEAN we have the ministry meeting. DIFA also is the key player for the data governance. China with the National Data Administration, Ministry of Industry and IT. Another thing that I think for both groups also looking at is about the international collaboration. With the data governance, it's the same with the other kind of standard. We can have our national level, regional level, but at the end, it's a global trade, global economy anyway. So for ASEAN group, we kind of like open to global partnership aligned with the OECD and G20 norm. And I think for ASEAN, it's also, can be one of the solution at the end about the DIFA. Maybe come back to that one afterward. For China, also promote global initiative on data security and emphasize sovereignty here. Two more points here. How about innovation? I think for since the morning, we're talking about balancing national interest and regional benefit. I hope I don't make it more complicated here, because in digital one, the second balancing is about enable and safeguard. So how much we want to facilitate. At the same time, we can still protect privacy of the people. So it's like double the balancing, something like that. And with that one, I think not only controlling and regulating, we have to think about how to move forward. That's why innovation and R&D support should be there, because technology evolve and how to enhance our, especially for the SME and the startup, how to let them, join the club and also expand together. And I think for ASEAN, it's kind of like more to, how to help those things with the inclusive growth concept. In case of China, because of they have many big tech firms, so they still be in the picture, in the spotlight, I would say, in terms of the key player here. And also in terms of the facilitation, for ASEAN country, it focuses on interoperability and SME inclusion. Digital is not easy for the small firm. They may have difficult time, but if the data governance can be there, trust and transparency can be there, so it can help those kind of firms as well. So these are briefly about the comparison between ASEAN and then China. With that one, a quick recap for Thailand, to just want some example. For us here, Thai people, data is a new thing, but I think with the Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, after it came out, we know a lot more. We recognize a lot more about how to protect our own data. Our right to be there. So I think it's very, recognition is one part of the process. So it said 2019, but it fully implemented in 2022 because they need to prepare many things to do that. This one act is cover, they regulate the collection, use, disclosure, and also the transfer of the personal data. And it applies both Thai and foreign business that operating in Thailand. So this law here, the PDPA, become the cornerstone regulation for Thailand. Oops, sorry, one push. Okay, so you see what I'm gonna say next. Okay, so I think another thing that's very important is the regulation, but also it has some strategic implication as well. It supports digital economy growth through trust and transparency. So some people are afraid to use it because not sure whether the data going to be to someone and they're going to call them to blah, 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 scammer and so on. And also it helps in terms of aligning the global standard for international collaboration. Last but not least, I think for the connectivity strategic plan, the new issue that is added is about urbanization, how people can live their life, safety and healthy and things like that. So the smart city and AI development is also very important nowadays. So those are additional benefit to the PDPA. For Thailand, just quick one. So they have apply to public and private, cover foreign entity that process the data of Thai resident. And that is a unit to, oversight this kind of regulation. They call PDPC here. Subject to data subject right, the right to access, correct, delete, and object to data processing. So the consent is needed for some kind of data. Enforcement, if you do something wrong, so fine, and the criminal charge is there as well. So I think this is kind of the first introduction to the Thai people, I mean for me as well. So, but it's kind of very necessary here. With that one, I think the important point I want to mention is about the cross-border data transfer. It's allowed if receiving country has adequate protection or with explicit consent. So they kind of still want to control the data of the Thai people. No mandatory for data localization, but some sector they need it. Sectoral regulatory additional rule is applied for telecom, finance, healthcare, and also e-commerce. So these are some kind of they have both the general one and also specific one by sector. With that one, briefly about comparison, what is the way forward? I think the first one is to introduce an ASEAN-China data dialogue platform. We need to talk more. We need to, explore more about what's going on now and what should be next. And the second point is to develop a regional data transfer protocol because the data is a fundamental. Sometimes we even say data-driven economy nowadays, so the data is the key. Also align the legal and regulatory standard, build shared digital infrastructure. And last but not least, we should also promote capacity building and also the knowledge exchange and the knowledge sharing, something like that. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Something that has been kind of linked between the digital economy is the protection. We found out from Dr. Liao about the business and also the investment and also the strategies, from the alignment. But also when we come to Dr. Zina mentioned the data protection, that we still have the divide between the people who know and people who don't know, like people who want to keep the privacy and also want to release the data, even cross the border. I just back to the gentleman's earlier session mentioning about the national interest and also the regional is a kind of big, China also have some of the case which is also have some limitation and also come across, for some levels that are higher than standard. But how can we combine them together? That is very challenging for this panel, I think. And now when it's come to the presentation number 4, the fourth presenter or speaker, she's from Vietnam, Vietnam. Ms. Tan Boucher, you discuss about the mapping the digital skill road and master plan on ASEAN connectivity for digital economy development. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Good morning, distinguished researchers and colleagues. My name is Châu. I'm from the Institute for Foreign Policy and Strategic Studies at the Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank tonight, China and Thailand on the news happened. So as you can see from the title, my research focuses on institutional organization between two major digital frameworks shaping our region, which is the China's Digital Silk Road and Master Plan on ASEAN connectivity. So to give you a brief of my presentation, I will first introduce a background on the regional digital economy, then zoom in on the two frameworks with a SWOT analysis, and conclude with a few recommendations. So firstly, I would like to start with a number that captures the scale of opportunity we are discussing, $625 billion US. That's the potential values of Southeast Asia's digital economy by 2030, according to the NACT 2025. So today I will be exploring how these two regional frameworks can work together to unlock this potential. The central question is straightforward. To what extent can China's digital Silk Road and ASEAN's master plan on connectivity towards 2045 be harmonized to enhance digital development across our region? Let me give you a landscape of the digital economy in the region. I will share a story that illustrates the transformation happening in Southeast Asia. So let's take Vietnam as a case study. In 2019, Vietnam's digital economy represents just under 5% of our GDP, but 5 years later, by 2024, that figure has jumped to over 18.3%. The growth rate is over 20% yearly, and is 3 times the total GDP growth rate. That's relevant to the kind of rapid digital transformation that we are witnessing across Southeast Asia these days. And about our near neighbor China, China's experience clearly shows us that what's possible with coordinated digital development. The digital economy already accounted for 41.5% of the GDP in 2022, according to UNDP data. This demonstrates how strategic infrastructure investment and institutional alignment can accelerate digital transformation. So back to Southeast Asia, the digital growth shows considerable variation across the region. While some economies have developed sophisticated digital infrastructure and legal framework, other faces infrastructure and capacity constraints, major ones. The Asian Development Banks estimate that ASEAN requires approximately $200 billion US annually through to 2040 to close infrastructure gap, and within that digit, the digital infrastructure alone needs roughly 8 to 12 billion yearly. So several regional corporations in connectivity and development have expanded across the region, and it gives some results. Significantly, the e-commerce sector, which exemplifies both our potentials and our challenges. We are seeing platforms like Shopee, Taobao, and TikTok Shop are connecting regional markets, but the challenges lies in the regulatory differences. So while the technology advances rapidly, institutional frameworks such as social media, commercial regulatory, and so on needs improvement to give pace. Next one, about the two frameworks. Let's continue with the details of the China's digital Silk Road, shortened as DSR, launched in the 2015 as part of China's Belt Road Initiative. Research reckon that this framework operates through 4 strategic objectives. The first one is developing technological self-reliance. Second is fostering cross-border market ecosystems. The third one is to contribute to global digital standards. And the last one is to strengthen Chinese tech companies as international bridges. The DSR encompasses both hard infrastructure, including next generation cellular networks, 5G, 6G, data center, undersea cables, and it also invests in soft infrastructure like mobile payment platforms and cloud services. That creates a comprehensive technological ecosystem of the DSR. But what makes the DSR distinctive is its implementation model. So between, as we can see in the figure here, in the diagram on the screen, between 2017 and 2020, all Southeast Asia countries received DSR investment. And within that, 79% of the projects are led by private sectors, with Huawei, Alibaba, and ZTE respectively in the top management. This private sector leadership creates both flexibility and complexity in coordination efforts in specific. Although they are serving broader strategic objectives, they are still having heavily based on commercial motivations.
Right.
The second framework is the ASEAN Master Plan on Connectivity towards 2045, which is being built upon the foundations of NPAC 2025 with 5 strategic areas: sustainable infrastructure, digital innovation, seamless logistics, regulatory excellence, and people mobility. A part of the framework's goal is to capture that $625 billion digital economy potential by 2030. NPAC operates through ASEAN's characteristic consensus-based approach with sophisticated governance structures, including the ASEAN Connectivity Coordinating Committee and robust performance management systems. We've already seen successes like the ASEAN Single Window for Trade Facility and cross-border QR payment system through ASEAN Payment Connectivity. And for the upcoming period, the recent established ASEAN Community Vision 2045 has put out a connectivity strategy plan, as on the screen, that will be the guideline for NPAC 2045. The encouraging news is that institutional coordination is already developing through multiple channels. The political foundation exists through the ASEAN-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership established in 2021. Most significantly, the 2019 Joint Statement on Synergizing NPAC 2025 and the Belt Road Initiative provides explicit political mandate for institutional harmonization. The ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting with China, which established in 2021, has proven highly productive. It has delivered concrete outcomes, including the Action Plan 2021 to 2025, the MOU on communications and digital technologies from 2024 to 2029, and other annual digital work plans. These ministerial frameworks are complemented by expanding sectoral cooperations and local initiatives, such as the Smart City Cooperation Initiative in 2019, or the China ASEAN Information Hub in 2016.
What?
The recent completion of the ACFTA 3.0 negotiation in May 2025, featuring multiple dedicated chapters of the digital economy development, has provided a strengthened legal foundation for cooperation. And together with the ASEAN Community Vision 2045 and its associated 2026 to 2030 plan of action, we are seeing progression from political dialogues to implementation focused mechanism.
Right.
So on harmonization prospects, let me provide you with a balanced balanced assessment of where we stand. So our strengths are substantial. ASEAN has a youthful, digital engaged population of over 50% aged between 15 and 49. Existing mechanisms like the ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting with China consistently deliver results. Successful piloting projects in cross-border payments and e-commerce platform prove that regional integration does work. The structural complementary between DSR infrastructure focus and APAC's regulatory excellence, as mentioned above, creates synergistic opportunities. But we are also facing some challenges. As Assistant Director of the ASEAN Secretary, Mr. Le Guanglan, has noted, a significant challenge looms over the flourishing ASEAN digital economy, that is the lack of digital literacy. Digital capacity varies across the region. Development differences creates coordination complexity, and there are still ongoing discussion and controversies over data sovereignty and cybersecurity frameworks. With that strength and weaknesses, we also have some opportunities. Rather than pursuing full regulatory standardization, I reckon we should focus on functional alignment. Regulatory capacity buildings should be the key, offering tangible starting points. Cross-border digital payments represent realistic integration paths. Shared digital governance frameworks can be foster alignment without formal treaty. But there are areas needing our attention. Global technologies evolves rapidly. It requires our adaptive coordination mechanism to respond quickly. Implementation approaches may vary between countries. Nonetheless, regulatory approaches to data protection and cybersecurity continues to develop across different jurisdictions. So, in short, to move forward with institutional harmonization between the DSR and APAC 2045, we need to find solutions to 4 key challenges. Differences in governance approaches. Secondly, diversity in digital development levels. Thirdly, impacts of the evolving technological landscapes. And the fourth is the regulatory fragmentation. And based on this SWOT analysis, I propose 5 recommendations. The first is to leverage and strengthen existing cooperation mechanism. The ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting with China has delivered concrete outcomes since 2021, including action plans and MOUs. Let's elevate this as our primary coordination platform, together with the upcoming 2026 to 2030 plans of action and the ACFTA 3.0. We have a solid opportunities for further harmonization. We should also establish a dedicated working group. I suggested ASEAN-China Digital Cooperation Working Group as a reporting mechanism to the ASEAN's ministers meeting with China. This group would monitor progress and assess emerging opportunities and report directly to the ADG means plus China. The second recommendation would be to prioritize institutional capacity building. Again, current disparities in digital governance remains a fundamental barrier. And building on successful programs like the Huawei's Seed for the Future or ASEAN Foundation initiatives, we need a further comprehensive ASEAN-China digital capacity building program, focusing on regulatory training, digital policy making, and technical standards. The third recommendation would be to further embed ASEAN-based principle in institutional dialogues. The core ASEAN values of mutual benefits, inclusiveness, transparency, and respect for sovereignty should guide all cooperation frameworks. These principles can help ensure balanced cooperation and guide responses to emerging issues like AI governance or platform regulation. The fourth recommendation is to design a flexible institutional frameworks. To design flexible institutional frameworks. Not all countries will engage at the same pace. I'm so there. I just missed the line. The fourth recommendation is to design flexible institutional frameworks to accommodate multi-speed participation, because not every country can engage at the same pace. So we should use variable geometry approaches that enable willing countries to advance in specific areas while preserving space for others to join later. This aligns with ASEAN's establishment of flexible regionalism. And the fifth one, the last one, would be to sustain dialogues through multi-stakeholders engagement, as we're doing right now, regular consultation with civil society, private sector, and think tanks, broad support, and early identification of challenges. Examples like Digital Silk Road Think Tank Alliance, Malaysia-China Digital Cooperation Council shows the values of multi-stakeholders platforms. So to conclude, institutional harmonization between the Digital Silk Road and MPAC 2045 represents a strategic pathway to a more inclusive and resilient digital development across Southeast Asia plus China. The opportunity is clear. We have political mandate from 2019, working institutional frameworks since 2021, and upcoming cooperation opportunities in the 2026 to 2030 cycle. The future lies in fostering flexible, principle-based cooperation that respects sovereignty while and enabling countries to work together at different speeds. Thank you.
That's very fruitfully and giving some very nice conclusion about this session. In particular, when you see the framework of the guideline, in particular from the recommendation, 5 recommendations, starting with the leverage and strengthen existing cooperation mechanism. So Professor Xie also showed some of the case study that we should be the best practice that we can, use this for. So 2026 or even for the further cooperations, and also prioritize institutional capacity building. I think it's also important to create a working group on events to strengthen from this forum for the next step. And also prioritize, about embed ASEAN-based principle in institutional dialogues, which is also the contributing with the design and flexible institutional frameworks to accommodate multi-speed participation. I think that you already shows that the ASEAN is very flexible also in terms of the digital economy, and that's why not only for the best practice, but also the institutional framework should be accommodated. And the last one is like a sustained dialogue through multi-stakeholder engagement, that we need more cooperations. I think right now we are now ending into the session, and if we still have call the Q&A sessions, we still have around maybe 6 to 7 minutes to be discussed. Please. Thank you.
Really short question, but broad. We're coming to 2026, and everybody expects that the digital economy framework agreement is finally going to be observed. You see they've added a couple of different agenda items and topics to that. The first one's on the digital economy side, in terms of capitalization, data shared across borders, tons of provisions that are supposed to essentially move us towards communication. Thoughts in terms of your conclusions as it relates to your own presentation, or optimism as to how this is going to fit in. Data still, things are still very uptight on this, but wondering if folks can speak so far. Ideas back to responding from the speakers.
This one. The first, especially, there was a
Okay.
Maybe I'll start, but I don't know if I'll direct your question straightforwardly. For me personally, I don't see. Well, it will be good if the DEFA will really be finalized immediately, because we really need it. That's the point of these discussions. But with many upcoming changes or maybe developments, even with Timor-Leste joining the ASEAN, maybe it will affect the negotiations of the DEFA, or maybe the admission of Timor-Leste in the future will affect the implementation of the DEFA if it will be agreed to be it. That's my point.
Sorry, good question. Joe?
according to the slides from this NACT, digital economy is quite a broad terminology, right? So I believe that in each of our countries, our nations, we need to accommodate us with a strong legal frameworks before coming to the negotiation table of ASEAN. So in a optimistic thought, I believe that it would be done before 2026. But to be realistic, the ever-changing technological landscape globally, regionally, internally, domestically, we cannot predict. We have to get us a base ground, somewhere we can work on first, and then moving up, multi-speed, multi-speedly. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just
Yes, yeah, my topic is not about this, but just now, after listening to colleagues' presentation, I'm thinking that actually for ASEAN, we have these late movers advantages. And so far for China, if we check, see their EV sector, their, the digital economy, we see that many of their companies are just like a hamster on the wheel. Right? So we already see these, the disadvantages or something not so good. So I think in our discussion or negotiation, we can also think about that to try to avoid this kind of situation to happen again for ASEAN economies. So basically, I think for instead of just follow China, every step follow it. Since it's so fast, the technology change so fast. Maybe we can figure out something that change not that fast first. So you do that, and just let it continue. After we finish the, some slower changing part, and then maybe we can do something faster. Yeah.
Just a quick background.
Okay, I think for the default one, yeah, you're right, because technology is always change, and I'm optimistic as well. So at least some minimum requirements are there. So, and if it's not done by next year, so at least awareness and recognition are there, so people can prepare for that. They're gonna foresee what's gonna come next, and some country we need some time to adjust. So I'm trying to see on the positive side, so at least they know where to go to, and once it really comes, I hope they can be really ready for that one. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. And let us respond from the four speakers. Any some of the maybe one question, any comments? All right. So we're now coming to the end of the seminar, and also we have the closing remarks and concluding session. Thereby, we give the opportunity to hear first person, Professor Yang Ye, Deputy Director of the Institute of ASEAN Studies, on the represent from the NACT. Sorry. So, Professor Yang, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. So dear colleagues, good afternoon. As we approach the end of today's meeting, I'm very much pleased to deliver some closing remarks on behalf of NACT China. First and foremost, I'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to NACT Thailand for their exceptional efforts in co-hosting this meeting. Their dedication has been very instrumental in facilitating such a productive exchange of ideas. We're also deeply appreciative of Chiang University for organizing this event, and also for the hard work they have put into ensuring the smooth running of this meeting. And also special thanks to Professor Neithlet. Under your leadership, I think you have done a fantastic job the whole day. It took care of everything. So thank you so much. I think during today's meeting, we have comprehensively discussed what regulatory excellence means and what has been done to achieve regulatory alignment, and also the means by which regulatory excellence will be achieved in the future. So it's very informative and also very comprehensive and very helpful. I do learn a lot from that. And also it covers a wide range of topics. So I'm thinking maybe in the future, I think NACT could do those topics one by one to explore deeper, right, on the specific topics like regulatory excellence, alignment in specific sectors, right, or on RCEP, right, how to better RCEP to make it more friendly to SME, right. So I think those topics are very important. And also as we look to the future, I think ASEAN, the newly released document, the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, provides a guiding framework for our cooperation. And I note Chinese ASEAN scholars are studying very carefully about those newly released documents by ASEAN. So the vision emphasizes the importance of regulatory excellence in achieving a seamless, people-oriented, and resilient ASEAN community. It also envisions ASEAN as a major player in the global community, in the global economy, with a single and future-ready economy anchored on sustainable growth and good governance, empowered by advanced technologies and responsive to emerging opportunities. And I believe regulatory alignment is crucial in realizing this vision, as it helps to streamline the processes, enhance transparency, and foster innovation. So that's why NACT is doing such a working group joint research on this topic. So in closing, I'd like to reiterate that ACT's core mandate to transform academic excellence into tangible policy excellence. And China and China Foreign Affairs University remains deeply committed to this partnership with ASEAN. And together we possess the collective wisdom to build the regulatory coherence necessary for a seamlessly connected, prosperous, and rule-based community. So once again, I'd like to thank NACT Thailand and Chiang University for their outstanding hospitality and for providing us with such a conducive environment for productive discussions. So may the outcomes of this meeting serve as a catalyst for future progress in ASEAN-China connectivity cooperation on regulatory aspects. So thank you once again.
Thank you for the and also we have Dr. Lakshman Singh, Fellow acting as a NACT of Thailand here, the Director of International Affairs Division, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation to provide closing comments. Please.
Thank you very much, Professor Yang Ye, Deputy Director of the Institute of Asian Studies, China Foreign Affairs University, and also the honorable speaker, distinguished delegate participant. So, good afternoon and Swadika again. I would like to begin by sincerely thanking our delegates for your active participation and insightful contribution throughout the course of this meeting. Our discussion over the past session have underscored the importance of laboratory excellence in enhancing ASEAN-China connectivity. Together, we have reaffirmed that fostering regulatory coherence is not only vital for promoting sustainable development, trade, and investment, but also for driving innovation and resilience across our region. This meeting has reinforced our shared commitment to ASEAN-China collaboration and partnership by continuing to work closely across government, academics, and policy sector. We have built an enabling environment that drives inclusive growth, digital transformation, and pre-development for the benefits of all people in ASEAN and China. Looking ahead to the idea and insight exchange during this meeting will serve as a solid foundation for advancing the master plan on ASEAN connectivity beyond 2025 and for deepening ASEAN-China collaboration, including through the Belt Road Initiative. I am optimistic that our collective efforts will make a meaningful contribution toward building a more connected, resilient, and prosperous region. On behalf of the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Innovation Thailand, as NACT Thailand, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to China Foreign Affairs University as a NACT China for their valuable partnership and kind support in co-hosting an important meeting. I also wish to thank Chiang University for their invaluable assistance in making this gathering a success. To all delegates and experts from across ASEAN and China, your dedication and expertise are truly appreciated. We look forward to continuing the vital work together and in the spirit of partnership and shared purpose. Once again, thank you for your valuable participation and continued commitment. I wish you a safe and pleasant journey home, and I hope your time in Thailand has been both enjoyable and memorable. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ
So, thank you very much for Professor Yang and Dr. Chuan for and closing summaries. As Chiang Mai University, the host of this seminar and also in working group, it is also very pleased to welcome all of you here in a small city, but serve you for this morning and until we have one more day tomorrow to go for the field research trip together. But before going into that, idea, the base moment, we also serve dinner. Which is also before we go there, we have to give some of the feedback of our seminar. And the QR code is right here. Like we said, it's a digital world. So save the world, and also we would like to collect some of feedback and comments to serve you better in for the next for the next meeting. Maybe gonna be Chiang Mai once again sometime in the future. Yeah, I didn't say anything, but yeah, please consider. Thank you so much. And since I got just urgent things like outside is raining, so we have time to arrange and we relax a little bit. Let's say 5:50 p.m. We all meet up at the lobby, and we go to the restaurant which is across the street right here, about 5 minutes. But let's pray that there's no heavy rain. Then we can walk and enjoy our dinner together. So once again, as the host from Chiang Mai, welcome you all and enjoy our city. Thank you. Have a good night. Tomorrow morning. Okay. All right. Sorry. Tomorrow morning we will arrange the vans. So the time will be at 8 a.m. roughly as well. So okay, please stay with us. Don't miss it. Chiang Mai has to be need you. And you need Chiang Mai. The roughly.
Hey, very current.
8
8:30.
8 to 8:30.
So we know definitely fine.
Yeah.
Half an hour. And you see.
What? Where is it at?
I'll be leaving at 8:30. Sorry. Alright. 8:25. Okay, 8:25.
Yeah.
You deserve the right. Thank you so much, man. Okay. That's all.
8:25. We're gathering.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, and you have a great night. Thank you.